right, let's see here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Gameplay is rolling. Yeah, looks like we are ready to go here. Good evening, everyone. Happy Labor Day weekend, the long weekend, and welcome to yet another episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 241. I'm Invader, and it's great to see you all here as more and more people start popping in. We've got a really good show lined up for you tonight. What will we be talking about? Well, first up is the concern being raised by UK regulators regarding Xbox's Activision purchase. Will this stall things out? Well, we'll go into things. Also, 343 Industries has revealed a sort of revamped roadmap for Halo Infinite content that has fans. Well, I mean, there's a mixture of different opinions, but there's a lot of upset people, to say the least. We'll get into all that very soon. But first, I will not waste any more time, and let me introduce everyone on the panel tonight, starting off with Centurion. Buddy, hey, how are you doing this weekend?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a semi-kosher week for me. Been able to play some games, went back in time and started playing Turok on the Xbox 360. I'm wondering how the hell we used to play games back then. Dude, the controller, like the joysticks and everything, like are just way too jumpy. You're just like, man, we used to play games like this? Okay,
Much
that's
more
cool.
forgiving. We were much more forgiving.
For real, we were much more forgiving. We were just happy to just run around and play all these crazy games. Like, I mean, dude, there's no subtitles in Turok. Nowadays, oh my God, I'm not trying to be mean, but the world would be up in arms. What about the people that can't hear it? I'm just like, I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, there's no subtitles at all in this game.
Neither does the original Assassin's Creed, by the way. Just no subtitles in it.
That's the funny part. Like, they were busy trying to figure out other things for games back then. Now it's man, I mean, like, literally, it's an interesting world we live in now when it comes to gaming. But I kind of because of, if I could point at Crusader right now, this guy right here gave me a bag of drugs and I got back on Destiny.
Really?
I did the Lord's work.
I did the Lord's work. What the?
I have been raiding all weekend. Destiny has never felt better.
I finally got it past I finally got to the end of the Cosmodrome like entry where, I guess the new player introduction. It's definitely different compared to the first time that game came out. So I just now got to the point where I'm able to go Valhalla or whatever his name is, or whatever. I'm going to drop off the thing that I got from the guy. See, I'm bad with names, but yeah, I guess I got to go drop something off before I can continue the main story now.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, guys, this is Centurion's gameplay of Turok that we were just talking about.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I got that up running, and enjoy his gameplay. Let's see, moving on down here. Tim Dog, what's up, brother?
Sorry about that. So, hey guys, happy to be here. I'm going to be a little bit in and out. Over here, I have family over, but I definitely wanted to make this first heated topic, and then I'm going to pave the way for Crusader to smash Halo and 343 to the ground like no one's ever seen before. So definitely stick around for that. I heard about his heroics on Mooch's show, so we're gonna get that, which I'm going to be probably listening to as well. But happy to be here. Been playing XCloud a lot. Haven't been home, so I've been playing XCloud. Been using the Kishi and playing a lot of power. The power cleaner, whatever that game is, I don't know. It's a crazy game.
Right?
Power Wash.
Power.
Yeah.
And also I've been playing Midnight Fight Express. But good show. We got some good topics, so tune in, make comments. Thanks for everyone for showing, and we should have a nice one tonight.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Timmy. Moving on down here, Eric Shockley. Buddy, hey, how's your week been?
Oh, pretty good. Ready to get into some of these topics tonight, but yeah, not been doing much. Just I especially since I bought this new 4K Blu-ray player. That's like, look, I got a real one that actually does it way better than the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. But man, it's almost like, I don't know, collecting. Like, I just can't stop buying. I can't stop, or yeah, I can't stop buying like 4K Blu-rays and trying to track them down. But some of these rare ones. But got Carlito's Way. I'm gonna fire up tonight, so looks pretty good. I don't think I've seen it back. I swear I've seen it like when much younger, but I don't remember shit about it other than like some of the characters that they put in like Vice City that had similarities. But yeah, I need to get back into gaming now that I've got some of my that all set up. So, but yeah, ready to get into these topics tonight.
All right, well said, buddy. Well said. And what else? Oh yeah, we got Crusader here. I know you're ready to chime in, bud. How are you? How have you been, man? How have you been?
I'm good. Destiny addict. Like me being a Destiny addict has returned full fledged. Between the good content we just got in this season and like the future looking so bright with like content vaulting for expansions being gone and like how good Lightfall looked with the new strand abilities and stuff, man. It's just been like an unprecedented time in like in the Destiny like community. Like everyone's just so happy and like so many new players are coming in and like returning players and it's just like a good time for everyone. And we're like it's just the energy is so high.
All right, good stuff, and yeah, I might need to try get on the Destiny train sometime and give it another go, but we shall see, I got lots more to play at this point in time, though. Let's see, guys, just so you know, MLD's away for the night, but he should be back next weekend. And before getting into things, reminder to just give this episode a like and share this out across social media to let everybody know that we are live now, because hey, we want everybody, as many people here as possible to come join in on the fun, the rants, and so on, right? But yeah, with that being said, it's great to have you all here in the chat, and all right, amigos, let's dive right into things, shall we, with our first topic. And we have some more news to cover regarding Xbox's takeover of Activision. And it looks like there's a bit of a roadblock. Regulators in the United Kingdom have expressed concern about potential issues, specifically citing that Microsoft's acquisition of the company could significantly weaken PlayStation. Some very interesting wording here. We'll dive into it. I'm really curious to hear what everyone here on the panel has to say with these new revelations coming out. Is there some worry? Tim, buddy, I'll pick on you first for this one to start us off. The UK is a fairly significant regulatory body. Do you see this as a hurdle for Xbox with what they're saying?
Yeah, I do see it as a hurdle. I do think they're going to have to give something in writing, or they're going to have to weaken their position of exclusivity to basically make them happy. If you read what they said, they basically sounded like what I was saying, that basically Sony is in dire trouble, that they don't have cloud, they don't have Game Pass subscription, they don't have a model like Xbox has, and basically if you add in Activision, it's going to be a big favor. It's going to put Xbox in a big favor. While all that's true, the problem that I have is that the CMA basically is making Sony out to be something that is incapable of competing, which is completely not the case. Basically, Sony has been sitting on their hands the last couple of years with no, real vision, and basically going on their popularity and resting on the laurels on that. And you have Xbox here now working their asses off, building a cloud, building a subscription service, taking losses on that to build it, to gain traction. Basically have a full-fledged vision and it's like they're getting penalized because they actually put back their money and they actually took risks for their, for their community and their, their buying customer. So you have CMA acting like Sony is this, weak entity when that's not the case. Sony just, their model was to gouge. I hate to say it. You look the recent events of them raising the prices, this Last of Us remake being $70 without a multiplayer, bullshit, and stuff like that. Them gouging games, raising prices $70, and trying to put PlayStation exclusives. Whether they're, you can argue whether they're not, or some of them, yeah, some of them could be 70, but like PlayStation All Stars, that game, whatever that game they try to pass off, they originally tried to pass off at $70. Um, Returnal, questionable for $70. Stuff like that. They've shown their hand and how they want to go about this, and a lot of it's about basically making the consumer pay for it and them getting rich off of that. So for me, I kind of think it's unfair. And I, reading their complaints, like I just was shaking my head saying, why should Xbox be, penalized for having a vision and for, making moves and doing things that Sony all along could have. They were the market leader. They still are the market leader. And to the point that, they're raising prices in this. So I don't think the CMA really uh, took a real broad look at the situation. I just kind of feel like, in a way, they kind of, were playing a little bit of favorites here, and it came off that much. And I do think that they're gonna get they're gonna get their point. You know what I mean? They're gonna get a decree probably where Xbox says Call of Duty has to be, sorry about the dogs, have to be, have to have exclusivity the life of the series and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that it's a big deal, and you're gonna see some more stuff like this. This deal is gonna be tough, but I do think they'll get it through. I just think it's not gonna be easy at all.
All right. All right. Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment there. No, I don't think it's going to be easy either, especially with the list of concerns that this UK regulatory body's talking about here, that it would impact Sony's ability to compete. They're worried about Xbox having such a powerful catalog, Activision's catalog, and it could result in harming Sony's ability to compete, and so on. That and Microsoft and Sony, according to them, compete closely within the target audience. They both have similar audiences, so I mean they do make some points here. I'm curious about other panel members' thoughts. Centurion Pal, I know you want to chime in on this. I don't know, got any thoughts? Do you agree with what Timmy's saying?
Oh, I'm right there with Timmy. So this is a double-edged sword for starters. I don't like politicizing government. I mean, I don't like politicizing or giving government control over the concept of who should be able to buy who. But I do know that there has to be some hurdles in place, especially when it's kind of like how Amazon and the Walmarts all came in and, swinging around, basically destroying small family businesses because they weren't able to compete. And it's just one of those things where I understand why these regulatory groups exist. But at the same time, especially listening to like Richard Hogue over on Virtual Legality, it's kind of one of those things where, I like his reference of watching two teams compete in a soccer game or a football game, depending on where you're at. The whole purpose is to basically hurt your opponent, not hurt them physically, but to basically score points, get one over on them, and basically make them feel uncomfortable. That's how competition works. And that's one of these things is we see Sony starting to become uncomfortable. They're getting very worried about what could happen. And that's where these governing, well, what about Sony? And it comes in as they're trying to be the Sony fanboys or the protectors of Sony. But and at least from what I've listened to, or at least the opinions I form from what I listen to, it's going a little deeper than them being trying to fanboy for Sony or be the Sony Defense Force. It's more of the concept of, let's really look at it objectively. Over here in the United States, Microsoft is the American company. Microsoft has a big foothold in the American economy. There is a lot of money generated in the American economy with Microsoft and the products they offer. Azure, Windows, Xbox, Microsoft Teams. There's a very large net of what Microsoft does for the economy over here. Now, if we go look at it from the UK perspective, like Microsoft doesn't have a large foothold over there. That can definitely be seen with Xbox. Yes, they have Windows over there, but let's just say Microsoft is not the juggernaut that it is over here. But over there, a large portion of the United Kingdom economy is actually gaming entertainment. I think one number that I read was like 20% of that economy is generated by gaming revenue and entertainment that basically that revolves around gaming. And you got to remember, Sony is the market leader over there. So anything that affects Sony could potentially affect their economy. But that's where I like some of the references that were made, that the CMA, for starters, was cutting corners in their complaints. They were trying to make very unvalid arguments, especially about how Microsoft was supposedly one of the console leaders. That's the biggest crock of shit I've heard in a long time, because we all know what Sony's been touting for over 10 plus years. 100 million sold Xboxes. For every Xbox that was sold, almost 3 PlayStation 4s were sold last gen. So the argument of that somehow Microsoft is a console leader is absolute BS. They're also reaching for the stars by trying to get out some proverbial crystal ball, looking at things like cloud gaming and the cloud infrastructure and emerging economies. Well, the funny part is you can't predict emerging economies. No one can predict the future.
They do have to look 5 years out. That is part of their job. Same with the FTC. They are supposed to look in the immediate future, and so they do have to take that into an account.
They do have to take it into account, but when you're taking into an account, you also can't make wild, outlandish claims. That's where they're skirting an area, and that's why I like how the term was used, that they're cutting corners. They might try to be looking into the future ahead, but they're also like, let's also look at the facts. Sony beat Microsoft to the concept of a subscription-based gaming service. It is not Microsoft's fault. They did it better. Sony sat on that rock and was like, yeah, there you go. There's PS Now. That's all you got. Microsoft put a lot more nurturing effort, time, and money into it. And that's where it's one of those things. So we're going to penalize a company for being more competitive than the other guy and basically creating a better product. That's where and this is the funny part about this whole situation. I don't know how many shows I've been on. Some of them I've been booed off of, and I'm not on some of them anymore. And I remember trying to bring up this whole conversation of everybody getting up in arms, like, "Oh my God, we're getting Activision! It's gonna be great!" And there's gumdrops and rainbows and lollipops. And guess what? I try to come out and say, reserve your feelings, because you have no idea the roller coaster ride you're about to go on, and this is that roller coaster ride I'm talking about. Anybody who thought that Microsoft was just going to be able to spend almost $70 billion without one person trying to raise any kind of a red flag, I'm sorry, but that's not happening. This is a lot of money.
Yeah, now Centurion, don't worry, they weren't saying boo, they were saying boo earns. Boo earns. Catch the Simpsons
But no, that's the funny part about it though. That's why I tried to warn everybody. Like, don't count all your chickens, don't put all your eggs in one basket, don't wrap all your feelings up in this because you have no idea. And the FTC is a lot easier to deal with than the CMA. Over here in the United States, you can sue the FTC all day long and have all this litigation and jurisdictional stuff within the courts. It's a lot more difficult over there in the UK. They don't have these huge processes where you can just basically hire all these lawyers and start taking people to court and suing them. It's a much more straightforward process over there and very hard to navigate because of it. And this is where I said, please buckle your seatbelts. This is exactly what's going to happen. Do I think that they're going to be able to persevere through this? Yes. Excuse me. But are we going to start seeing, basically stipulations towards this merger? Like, one stipulation that was thrown out is Call of Duty might not be allowed to go into Game Pass over there. And that's where they would have to start geofencing and do all this other stuff to make it kind of like what Netflix does over here in the United States. To watch South Park here in the United States, you actually have to go to HBO Max. Over there in the UK, you can watch it on Netflix. That's a geofencing thing. You could have something like that. Also, they are allowed to reach back in time and talk about other things that have taken place, like the buyout of Bethesda. One thing they can ask for is like, hey, we want Starfield on the PlayStation. They are totally within their rights to ask for that, both the FTC and the CMA. And do you think Microsoft is going to want to blow a $70 deal over having a game that would literally be locked down on a plastic ecosystem? Trust me, they are going to be totally open to any stipulations that are thrown their way. So this is where this is going to be the nitty gritty that I have been trying to warn the community about, that is about to take place. And yeah, I mean, literally, it's interesting. It's going to be a very interesting time. I remember when I would tell people that there's no way Call of Duty can go exclusive. It can't. For starters, it's a major multiplayer. Its foundations are across being a multiplayer. I mean, a multi-platform game. And something like this, like if you tried to basically make Call of Duty exclusive, you're skirting the lines of an antitrust violation, because that right there could actually hurt a company. That's how these government regulatory groups work, is they're here to protect the smaller companies. And no matter how big Sony is only a couple $1 billion company, where Microsoft is a couple $1 trillion company. So therefore the regulators have to do what their job is, and that's to look out for the little guy. Even though Sony is technically not a little guy, because I mean, they make a lot of money, but it's also quite a shame that Sony does not. Why does Sony not want to compete? Why does Sony literally, if I could be blunt, sit on their ass and not do a damn thing except for make almost the exact same style of games over and over and over again? And it just seems like Microsoft is going to be penalized because basically Sony has become completely complacent in the industry.
Now, they did just make a huge splurge the other day and bought Savage Studios, which was, that's a mobile phone studio, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. But I can tell you one thing they didn't splurge on, and that's packing materials.
Wow, that's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I feel so bad. Like I don't care for that game. Like at all, I find it to be nonsense, right? But like anyone who does care about it, right? Like I'd pay $100 for to hear Garrus's crispy voice and like the greatest lossless audio of all time, and like I'd pay $100.
I've seen better Leap Trade packaging than that.
But like, you know, if I'm buying but I'm a huge fan, right? And if I'm a huge fan, I'm gonna buy my collector's edition. You know what I mean? And so I feel for any fan, whether I like your game or not. If your collector's edition's coming in a bad condition, I feel so bad for you. You know what I mean? Because you're excited for that shit, right? I buy collector's editions. I think everyone on here owns at least one, right? All y'all probably
yeah.
have one collector's edition of something. And, like, we buy that for a reason, because we love that fucking franchise or whatever it is. And I'm going to be cursing a lot tonight. I do apologize.
On top of buying it for a third time.
Yeah, on top of buying it for, yeah, right? But, like, if my stuff came all cardboard back, I'd be pissed. I'd be furious. And
So
like,
I've
I
got a
feel for
good
those
scenario for
those
you,
people.
Crusader.
Yeah.
So check this out. As soon as I saw that envelope, I don't care what anybody says. UPS can be abusive. Any delivery service can be abusive.
Packed it in that envelope. Sony did.
Yeah. And let's just say right now, that envelope was an absolute POS. I do shipping, receiving, logistics. The minute I saw that envelope, I was like, oh, damn, somebody was wanting to save on the freaking shipping costs. That's some BS. But here's the funny part. So my wife is a makeup influencer. She buys makeup from all over the place. She even has some of this stuff at times shipped in from Australia. Do you know what it's like to be standing there when your wife opens a box and literally an eyeshadow palette has been smashed into pieces?
Awful.
Dude, I mean, like, so that's why I had to be like, these companies know how abusive delivery services can get, and they actually try to prevent stuff like that from happening. But when you just vagrantly do not give an F and shove something in a manila envelope and throw it into any mail system, you know damn well that thing's going to get damaged.
Yeah. Hey, Invader, you mind? I don't know if you were going to have Shockley go next or not. You mind if I do, so I don't got to do 2 sections straight with my voice?
Yeah, sure. No
But I
problem.
love your
Thank
voice.
you. I love my voice too, and that's why I want to keep it. You know, so I'm a little bit more optimistic about this than you guys are, evidently. But most of that comes from the fact that on Friday, I actually got to sit down with Richard Hogue and talk about this directly with him, right? And the first thing he said on the show was that he thinks the media is blowing this out of proportion, that everyone is blowing this out of proportion, because every major regulator that can actually majorly do something about this deal has already gone to like a second phase that we know of. Like the FTC took this to a deeper second phase. We know that. It was reported on way back in June, right? And he said that not only like did he completely expect this sequence of events to happen, but it does not change his actual 70-30 split on whether or not this deal is going to go through, right? He said that this changes literally nothing for him, right? And the one thing he did say was he couldn't believe how wild the 3 different ways they went through the deal. Like the social media one, he was like, the social media on Twitter, the whole breakdown on Twitter was a joke. Flat out a joke that he was like, they just had some intern write up all that. He said it was the most ridiculous legal body like thing that he ever seen. You know what I mean? That like, but going through the press release wasn't as bad, and then but like neither of those things even actually touched on what the actual legal filings, like the actual legal documents that you can go out and read that they filed in response to this. It's what they said in the press release and in the Twitter thread is completely blown out of proportion by their own words from what they actually have in the actual legal filing. In the legal filing, their concerns are like almost, well, some of them are literally pulled straight out of the Brazilian regulators sections. And we believe that a lot of this, he believes at least, a lot of this was a response to the Brazilian regulators, like what was said in that, and that they want to investigate what they saw from statements made in the Brazilian thing. But he's like, this changes literally nothing in my mind about anything about this deal. He was like, if anyone didn't expect it to go to the deepest possible form of investigation from any of these regulatory agencies, that they're out of their mind, right? This was going to happen. And he said that upon going through the documents, their biggest argument wasn't even really about the console space, but their biggest argument that they went on for about the longest was the fear that locking down some of the absolute largest franchises in gaming, specifically to specific cloud services, could damage the possibility of any other cloud services being able to exist in the cloud sphere. And he said with certainty that it has been his opinion that there was going to be what's called a consent decree, which is Microsoft has to sign basically alter their deal with some red pen to add stipulations to it about what they can and can't do. One thing that people should realize is that will not have any indefinite things, right? Like, nowhere will the CMA is not going to expect Microsoft to sign something that says, "Hey, you have to keep Call of Duty indefinitely on PlayStation," because who knows if PlayStation's going to exist in the future, right? In 15 years, 20 years, who knows? I mean, how long was Sega in the console market? I actually don't know. I'm pretty sure Sega was out of the console market before I was like in kindergarten. Right. I'm a youngin compared to these people on the show. I'm 26 years old. But you know, so these aren't going to be indefinite terms. Nothing that the CMA will ask for will be indefinite. It'll be like, hey, Call of Duty has to be on current platforms that rival yours for 10 years that it's already on. But Microsoft already seems to be like, yeah, we're going to do that, right? Like they flat out said that, look, we're planning for Call of Duty to take the Minecraft path, right? They said that in their response to the CMA, right? Call of Duty is going to take the Minecraft path. We plan to put it more places in the full, like literally the full thing. We can finally end that conversation about like, well, maybe the campaigns will be on Xbox only, or maybe it's only talking about Warzone. No, he literally flat out said that, like, look, the full package is going to release on PlayStation the same day it is on Xbox, and we're going to do it exactly like we did Minecraft, because the game itself is a platform and exists differently, right? Like, and a lot of this is to just get Microsoft to come in and put stuff in writing and commit to it in writing with exact details of how many years they're going to commit to it. Because the CMA and the FTC, they're not stupid. They're not. Like Microsoft could say things, but if they're not forced to do it in writing, they can turn around and do whatever they want, because like a verbal promise is a verbal promise. It means nothing. Well, sometimes they mean things, but in this case, it would mean nothing, right? And go ahead, Tim. I think you're
I
trying
just
to.
want to make a quick point, and you can still think one.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I was back and forth, that they just had come
You're
home. One of the things that he had said was that what was the wording, that Call of Duty would be available for the current gen, and it kind of left the door open, and it sounded like next generation.
It could be, and it would depend. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Tim.
So, I mean, listen, like you're saying, I do think a consent decree is going to happen. I think it's going to happen all around. I think its consent decree is going to happen with Lena Khan and the FTC. But this is not going to be easy. But one thing I do want to preface is that if they do get blocked, or they they're going to go to court, and it's going to probably play out in court. But odds on, there's a very good chance Xbox is going to win this, because their argument's strong. I just kind of feel that it's just inevitable that this is going to happen, and I kind of do feel. Listen, is it really wrong that Xbox is in the position that it's in? I don't think so, because they put themselves in that position. Sony could have had some type of vision. They're acting like Sony is destitute. That's what got me. It's like, for years, how many times have we had thrown in our faces, your console's getting sold 4-1. Look at these multi-plat sales. Xbox players don't buy games. And it was skewed really towards Sony. You would think that the time that they've had in that position, they would have had a plan for the future, and they don't. In my opinion, the way they went about their acquisitions and the way this is all unfolded, they didn't have a plan. They just wanted to rest on their laurels, and they thought that Xbox wasn't going to come to play or be taken serious. And now they're shitting in their pants. They're crying like they can't compete with some monopoly. I mean, it blows my mind. For 5 years ago, we were talking about Xbox leaving the console space because Sony's so dominant. Do you guys? I agree. Am I dreaming that? I mean,
yeah. So, and the biggest thing is Call of Duty itself could just be a pendulum swing that could absolutely destroy any company if it went to either direction, right? Like it could be look how many people buy it a year. It's still the Vanguard sucked, and it's still the second most selling game on all the consoles.
is everybody aware of the fact that Xbox, that Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan signed an agreement in January?
He sent them a letter in January. That's not a signed agreement or anything. That's him saying that, like, look, this is our plan, and our plan was for the next several years past our agreement. We're gonna put it on PlayStation, right? To PlayStation, that's like great. You're telling us this now. Make it part of
So,
your official.
The article I have says Microsoft came out and says that the new statement reads, in January, we provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation, which will feature and content parity for at least several more years beyond the current Sony contract. An offer that goes well beyond typical gaming industry agreements.
Yeah. So, like, these are the things that they're doing in order to make this deal go through, right? And again, I'm looking at Call of Duty, and I'm actually, like, saying to myself, like, look, is it ever actually going to leave their system? Is it actually a smart thing to make it? Like, think of how many people you'd piss off. Like, you're not going to be pissing off, like, a few people. Like, Elder Scrolls, it's going to make some people mad when it goes exclusive, right? Like, it will. Starfield's making, it's making, like, a few people mad online. Like, but imagine the shitstorm of taking
Call of Duty's an annual thing. That's the
Duty's
difference.
an annual multiplayer
Well,
game
in the
that
past
is
it has been.
you're right. It might not be in the future, but, like, it is it'll be a consistent release nonetheless. Whether it goes from 1 year to 2 years or 3 years, whatever, it's still going to be a consistent release. And within those releases, it's going to get consistent content until the next one's out, right? Like, I don't think anyone's denying that, like, there's ever going to be a point in time where Call of Duty is going to be, like, no one's going to be talking about it. Call of Duty is always it's going to be an omnipresent thing in perpetuity of gaming until no one wants to play Call of Duty anymore, which I thought we would have hit that point already, and the fact that we haven't hit that point already, I don't think we're ever going to hit a point where people don't want Call of Duty, right? And so think of how many million people you are going to piss off with Call of Duty leaving. The same thing would have happened with Minecraft. You would have pissed millions of people off had they decided not to release a PS4 version of Minecraft, right? Because, like, Look at what Minecraft is. Minecraft is the best-selling individual game of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's right, and Call of Duty has sold far more than Minecraft, but, like, they're individual releases, right? Like, Ghosts is separate from Advanced Warfare, is separate from Infinite, whatever. All the names that I actually don't know. I haven't played since Ghosts, but think of how many freaking people you'd piss off, and is it worth it to get all of that negative PR alone? Never mind the potentially damaging your competition, right? Because it brings in the most revenue on their platform, like, more than any other game, and it's literally just a 30% take that they're taking, right? Never mind that. You're going to be pissing people off. You're going to be causing antitrust concerns. So why even bother using it as an exclusive when you can turn it into a platform of its own? Because it is something bigger than Xbox and PlayStation in a way. I've talked about this many times on this podcast, right? And it just is bigger than them individually. Minecraft was, and what did they do with Minecraft? Well, Microsoft bought it and they brought it to Switch. And they've already talked about doing that with Call of Duty. We've seen them talk about doing that they want to, that the part of the potential is expanding the platforms of the game. And it's almost like the game is a living thing in itself that is almost like a Game Pass in itself. Like, it just is. Like Fortnite is. Apex Legends is. Sony just bought Bungie, and they're doing it with not only Destiny, but the future worlds that Bungie is going to create. They're going to do it with them too, right? Like, this is a concept we don't even just see from Microsoft. So, like, they definitely want it in writing, and I cannot blame the CMA or any other company from wanting potentially Call of Duty and Overwatch and even World of Warcraft, right, in some kind of writing that they're not going to that if they do things with these massive kind of platforms, they're not going to use them to damage competition in some way, right? Like, because theoretically, they could damage Final Fantasy 14 in the MMO space by making WoW just, like, completely free and just bringing everyone in. And then once Final Fantasy 14's been damaged so they could hike up the prices of everything in WoW to 1,000,000,000 degrees, right? Like, that's some of the fears in this. Would Microsoft ever do that? I doubt it, because, like, that's how they almost got torn apart in the early 2000s with the whole Netscape browser thing. If anyone remembers that, Microsoft was supposed to be ripped apart as a company. in the early 2000s, and they weren't. Fascinating law cases to look up that like no one wanted to deal with actually breaking them up in the United States, and it just never happened. Right? They
Well,
were
I can see
supposed
them.
to be broken up.
I think the Game Pass play could hurt just as much. Maybe not
Yes,
to
you're
the
right.
degree of keeping it exclusive, but that Game Pass of like, hey, the only subscription service this can touch is Game Pass.
Yes,
and
and
also
yes.
also xCloud. I mean, I think
exactly.
I think that those are two things that, again, Sony doesn't have, but that's because they didn't go with it. But they are very powerful things. The ability to have, I've talked to Phil about this. The ability to have Call of Duty on cloud day one is a big deal. You know,
That's the potential of that takes into the other part of the argument that we were talking about, though, right? With it could damage other people who are trying to come up in the cloud space because Call of Duty is the biggest game that there is every year.
again, though, I agree, but
And it's not Sony that it's going to damage.
But I agree, but it's like,
So
why should Xbox and Microsoft be penalized for doing something that only they would dabble
No.
into doing? You know what I mean?
Amazon could do the same thing.
Right.
And Amazon's getting into this space. They have Luna, and they are actually interested, unlike Google, in actually pursuing it. Amazon just doesn't give up when something doesn't work. They try and try and try again. And owning the largest franchise in gaming could actually end up damaging.
Listen, I don't know what Sony's deal is. I really believe that they are scatterbrained right now, and they are in a
I agree.
position. And I'm not. That's not fanboy shit. This is stuff that I've talked about, recently with somebody, and I, my heart of hearts, I honestly feel that they're nervous because they haven't. Listen, look how long Game Pass took before it really started getting traction and kind of getting understood, and how well Xbox is integrated from PC to xCloud to cross buy. There's so many things that they've done right, and they've set themselves up since 2017 because they knew. And I don't think that they should be penalized. Listen, I agree. You can have a degree. As long as Call of Duty is a Game Pass day one. Listen, even if they had said this, the only way you get this deal is that all your Bethesda games now have to become exclusive, or have to become now multi-plat, because you guys have such a strong position that you have to do that. I would actually say I wouldn't want to do it, obviously, but I would, for the sake of getting the deal done, I would say, okay, as long as they're day one in Game Pass and day one in cloud. Because when you have that and nobody else has that, that makes you, in a way, you said what Porter Rock said.
Yeah, Game Pass is the best exclusive Microsoft has. It is their identity.
It agreed. So it doesn't really matter if your games are going elsewhere. If you're getting day one for $15 a month, or if you only say $5 a month with this family plan, which is going to be awesome, like, it's a powerful thing. It's going to be a powerful thing when I have 4 accounts and I tell my nephew, hey, you got Ultimate. What does that mean? That means you got everything on your phone. You can play all my games. You can play every game in Game Pass. You can play my games on my console, stream everything. I have over 1,000 games. Go knock yourself out. And then I could say to my best friend, Dennis, hey, man, you haven't been gaming a lot, but I know that you always ask me about this stuff. Here's a controller. Just download this app, you're in. That's the vision that Xbox has, that they want more gamers and they want everybody in the ecosystem, and they have the recipe. I just would really think it would be shitty if this deal gets shot down, and really I think it would be a something that would be a big blow. It would be what do they say? You lose the wind in your sails.
Yeah.
That type of thing could hurt them.
See,
And I think it could happen, but a lot of people argue with me and say, Tim, you're wrong. And listen, from the day one on here, from day one on this show, we all said Call of Duty will be multi-plat, and there were so many people that were saying that we wouldn't. We were wrong, but we read the way Phil was acting. I knew when Phil put that tweet out what the deal was. And now here we are right now, and I was told no, they would never be able to block this. This not a monopoly. You don't know what you're talking about, Tim. And it's very real right now that the deal could definitely be, challenged, and this might be a fight in court. And fights in court go on a long time.
Yeah, I don't. See, the biggest thing is like people like when I'm saying like, oh no, like they could be damaging the cloud space. Well, they can do kind of like what the MLB made Sony contractually do with their last contractual thing, right? Where it's like, okay, for the next so many years, you need to make sure by this date that you prioritize releasing a version on Amazon Luna. Guess what? Amazon Luna is like 1.5 billion different services. Amazon Luna is the most confusing subscription service that there is on the planet. And I'm gonna tell you what, with Call of Duty, Microsoft's not really caring about like they want it on Game Pass. That's it, and it'll push Game Pass because you know why? Game Pass is on console, cloud, and PC. There's an option for everyone. It coming to Luna and like someone having to go into the because Luna has channels, right? You subscribe to the different channels in Luna. There's an Ubisoft channel where you can get all of the games that Ubisoft has put on Luna, right? And then there's other developers channels, and you can subscribe to each of them independently. So if Microsoft's putting on a little like Call of Duty channel on Luna, that ain't gonna really move the needle that much, except for maybe in the actual cloud department. That ain't gonna change a thing for us dedicated console gamers. That ain't gonna change a thing for PC gamers who want Game Pass, right? That's not really gonna change a thing for people on cloud who want the Game Pass experience of like all of the games that they put on Game Pass, right? It's just making sure that like they don't have a like just raw dog advantage over
the
over
thing
Amazon.
the thing is that
and is that a big deal? Is that actually a big deal? That's what I gotta ask people. Are you actually gonna be that mad that they have created a Luna version of the game when you, with your great service, you're getting like Starfield and Call of Duty and Elder Scrolls? Who cares?
Listen,
Let the Luna people enjoy what they got.
Like if Xbox gets this deal, we all know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But is it wrong for that to be the case? Like, that's not. I don't see an argument against it because what Xbox does is it gives you the ability to play games on more devices, on every device that you have. Take the game that you want with you. And to be honest, it's 2022. That's the way I want to have my content.
Yeah.
Okay, and somebody is antiquated and can't do that, or didn't want to invest in that. That's not my problem.
Yeah, and Tim, remember, we were having a discussion last week. There was comments going back to 2016. They were like, "Oh, what are these console makers? What's Xbox doing, putting their games back on PC?" Yeah. Now we're like, "Oh, hey, why not just put everything out there, right?"
Who cares?
Yeah.
I could give two shits. I could give two shits if every Xbox game was on PlayStation, right?
As long as this is my cares. Is it on Game Pass?
As long as it's on Game Pass?
Okay. Yeah, as long as it's on Game Pass, that's number one. If it's a PC game, you're damn right I want my cross-buy. I want to be able to have all those games attached to my Windows service. And you know why? Because, I might not play them now on Xbox. But you know what? In 10 years, devices natively will be able to play these games, like it's a joke. Because as tech evolves, everything else evolves. It becomes more powerful. So, yeah, I want that digital content, and I want it there day one. And it's crazy, but because we were so listen, I remember in 2017, and it was actually about this show. Rand had left the show, TXR, and so did Maka. And I talked to Rand, and he basically. I was like, we talked, we said, and I don't know, it's kind of like I was at Two Brothers Pizzeria. I was eating chicken scarpiello, which is a good deal, New York style. So it's very good. And I'm reading the Twitter, and I'm reading Peter Kleptic, Colin Moriarty, Jason Schreier, all make fun of Xbox, saying that Xbox is a shell of their old self. They should leave the console space. They cannot compete with Sony. Sony is too strong. And they were basically mocking Xbox and laughing at its own demise. I just remember it vividly. And I remember thinking to myself, I said, one day I hope these guys eat their words. Those guys now are eating the words. Okay, they basically they're actually now rooting for a block because Xbox is becoming so powerful or whatever you want to call it. So those times I remember and I remember them like they were yesterday. And I'm sure Phil does too. I'm sure Phil saw this all. So, for where they are now to where they were, you're talking light
Incredible.
years, and it's about to take that next step. If they get Call of Duty, they will definitely be the number one provider in video games, and in my opinion, that's okay. Uh, you're gonna have, like somebody said, when you have a $67 billion deal, no matter what, you're gonna go into phase two. No matter what, you're gonna go into secondary, look. It's just a matter of the matter of the size of the deal.
And I
But
don't think a lot of people realize this with the size of this deal. This is number one, it's the largest gaming acquisition of all time, right? The Bethesda one was the biggest up until Zynga, and then
Yeah.
like 2 weeks after
Largest
Zynga.
Microsoft acquisition period.
This is like the fifth largest acquisition of one company to another globally ever, right? Like
Yeah. They can tell the
might be a
regular.
top three. It's of course everyone's gonna look at it. You're silly if you
Yeah.
didn't think it was gonna happen, right?
Just tell the regulators Bobby Kodak's going to stay in power if we don't take over. So because he has no
that's a big
reason
thing.
to leave.
That's a big thing. That's actually one of the reasons. Like a lot of the reasons why this deal will probably go through again with a consent decree is
Right.
because it will shift and change that company. And like we've already seen Microsoft agree company wide to like have a completely neutral and not even attempt to persuade people through legal means to not join unions in order to get this deal through. That is a massive, massive, massive statement to make from one of the largest companies in the world and in a tech industry that hates unions. To get that. And so on principles, like the FTC may let it through because they got concessions that they want. You know what I mean? Like
CWA, you're right. CWA basically
they wrote a letter of support.
Yeah, they've done the right things. Listen, Brad Smith has had this deal and held it. He's done a really good job. I just think it's definitely, he earns the big bucks for a reason. He's Microsoft's their number one lawyer. And I love talking to Pachter about this stuff. I really feel like I sometimes DM Pachter and I ask him, and he gives me his opinion. Maybe we can get him on the show one time because he really has a really strong understanding of this stuff. And people joke around about him, but no, the guy definitely knows. He's a lawyer and he's very well versed. So I mean, I like bouncing stuff off of him and stuff and finding out. And in the end, I do think that the deal will go through with consent decree, and even it might be in a consent decree also to fire Bobby Kotick and hire somebody. But here's the thing: if Kotick gets let go, he has a $65 million, I think it's $65 million golden parachute. And if you guys are not familiar with that, basically it's I guess his contract says if he's let go or he leaves, he's entitled to this CEO money. So people who want to have him suffer, are you going to really make somebody suffer when they're leaving on 65 million? So that's going to be interesting.
Unfortunately, he owns the company. It's his company. Can't make him suffer. Like
where he goes, I don't know. I know
Coke.
Will and him have always been friendly, but I don't think you probably would be in the right scheme of things to have him still run it. I think that that'll be addressed. And the exclusivity deals of all this will be addressed. Decrees will definitely be made. But it's just been such a whirlwind since this has been announced that it's even in my I feel has affected Microsoft in a way, because I do think that we're going to go and talk about Halo, and Crusader's going to give his opinion. I'm also going to give mine. But people right now, I get a lot of DMs like they want Bonnie fired. I don't think that's happening, and we're gonna talk about that because uh, basically because of what's going on with the CMA and the deals that are put forward right now. I don't think that Microsoft focus is on Halo, and it maybe should be, but this is how big this deal is. They are holding their breath. And you would think that would be the case on a $67 billion deal.
Mm-hmm.
Halo being in not a good place actually kind of helps the deal. Because it shows that they're struggling as an organization. So like that's I don't want to say that like they're doing it on purpose, but like that is like a genuine like benefit of Halo not doing well, is like they can be like, well, we're not a market leader at all.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like in Fortnite, they would. Yeah, you're right. That would actually hurt them, because they would be like, you're now going to have Call of Duty, and you're also going to have Halo, the two top. If Halo was what it was, and it's still, say it was back to Halo 3 when it was, how popular it was, it's like that now. You're damn right that would be brought up. So you're right, in a way. Another good point.
I don't think they're doing anything like that on purpose. I don't want anyone to get any conspiracy theories in their head.
No.
But like, certainly it ain't hurting their cause.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get into Halo for a sec. I just want just to round off this topic. Eric, do you agree with what everybody's saying, or like do you have your own thoughts on this? Please go into detail.
Yeah, for the most part, I don't think there's anything stopping this deal. There's too much money. Microsoft's too big. They have too much, lobbyist support. So there's no ways. So because anything that the regulators are going to come across, they're going to concede to make it go through. So they're just, whatever they ask them to do, they're going to do it. But yeah, I mean, and I think, to that point, them not doing so well is going to play into them being like, the third, basically, since the Switch has come back so strong. They can point to that, or point to like Sony's dominance and what Sony's doing with, they're kind of doing their own thing. Hey, they might not have billions of liquidity that they feel comfortable percentage-wise, because it'd be a much bigger portion of their available cash flow to like purchase like a Bethesda or Activision. So, but what they're doing is, taking up the third-party games like Final Fantasy, and pretty much anything that they can get their hands on. So, so that plays into their, they can argue that like, hey, they're out here locking up exclusives. Some of these big titles, like not in the level of Call of Duty, but are the big players in the gaming space that are multi-plat normally. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely going to go through, probably sooner than what they expected from all the rumors that we're hearing. So, but yeah, I mean, it's hopefully we get more of those ones that we got from Brazil, where you got to see the inner workings, or the inner complaints from both sides. That was hilarious. But
yeah,
we don't get those very much, because most of them get tight-lipped. They're not as public.
We don't hear anything about the EU.
No.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. But yeah, guys, either way, it's going to be interesting. I mean, me personally, we still got some months to go through here. It's not going to be as quick as the Bungie deal with, through Sony, obviously. That got rubber stamped pretty quickly, really. But I'm hopeful, maybe, who knows, maybe February, something like that. But
Hogue said he still thinks Q1 2023.
okay, yeah,
Like,
that's still
even after the CMA, he said it's Q1 2023. Probably late.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've already it was announced in
We gotta get
mid-January.
him on the show.
Yeah, that would
We
be
gotta
about
get-
14 months.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
who's
was
left
looking-
and the
We
regulators?
want to try to get
Don't know.
Hogue and Pactor on the same show. I know that they're a fan of each other.
Well, I've been talking to Hogue, but hey, Tim, if you want to talk to Pactor,
So yeah, I could probably get Mike on the show. I would have to talk to him, especially if we get Hogue. He would probably be interested. So I will venture out.
all right.
Sunday might be tough for him, but I will let him. I will talk to him.
All right. Sounds like a plan, my friend. All right, guys, we will move on to the next topic. But first, to everybody in the chat, it's wonderful having you all here, seeing a lot of really cool people in the chat, some new faces, some regulars. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure to hit the like button, as it does really genuinely help us out. Sub to the channel if you haven't already, because, hey, we put on some pretty awesome shows, have some great discussions. And, hey, share this out. Let everybody know that we're live having these really good discussions with regards to Xbox, gaming, and, hey, pretty in a couple of seconds, Halo. So let everybody know. But yeah, guys, on to our next topic, speaking of which, and this one's potentially going to get kind of spicy, to say the least. A few days ago, 343 Industries provided an updated content roadmap for Halo Infinite. That seemed to, it seemed to let down a lot of Halo fans. They announced a free winter update with free 30-level battle pass. However, there's a Forge beta that will also be pushed back this winter with the update. There's a lot of different stuff announced here. However, this is kind of a touching point. The local couch co-op split screen that was announced a while back has seemingly been pushed back or, put on the back burner or even canceled from the looks of things, just to focus on other stuff. And yeah, it did not go over very well. Eric Shockley, buddy, I'll head straight to you on this one. First thing, what's your take on 343's Halo content update? Did you like what they put out there? Did you like the roadmap? Because, I mean, they're getting grilled over this currently.
Yeah, I mean, as they've definitely earned that for sure. Yeah, I think they just it's unfortunate that they're being so ambitious with like the Forge, because we've seen some of the leaks of that and like what it can do, and it's like, oh shit, this is this is like some Dreams level shit in Halo Forge. But yeah, I mean, with the co-op, at least the part that people were like really upset, it seemed to be really upset about, like it was on the level of like them delaying co-op, like it was on the same level. I didn't really get that. I get people wanted to have split screen, but we didn't have it in the last Halo. I can't remember if it was in Halo 4. So it wasn't like, hey, the last Halo we had it and then you just now took it away. It was just like, hey, they promised back in 5 years ago, or Bonnie Ross did, who's I don't think a dev at all. I think he just manages the studio.
I'm pretty sure in 4
promised it's.
Oh, sorry. I'm pretty sure in 4 we did, but it was 5 where they cut it out entirely.
Yeah. And to me, I played a ton of split screen. That's where I got my start with my friend when he first got an Xbox and we were playing CE. But back then you didn't have Xbox Live, wasn't up. Couldn't play, hey, I'm playing co-op from my home. I don't have to leave. Because if we did that, we would have just done it back then. And then you had Halo 2, which had terrible co-op, because that mode is, you can't even, unless both of you are top of the line, really, really good, even then it's a shit show. But you can't take somebody that's not that great and, drag them through the co-op store, because it'd be terrible, because they would get shot by the snipers on Legend, unless you're, playing the lower difficulty levels, I guess. But that whole co-op kind of sucked. And then Halo 3, I back in 07, yeah, none of us were doing split screen back then, because we're on Xbox Live, and I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm just gonna just jump on Gears, jump on Halo. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to go and split screen. And then we both got this tiny, because a lot of us back then still didn't have like giant 55, 65-inch TVs. So split screening, I saved up money, bought a high def widescreen CRT, so I could get high def, and that was $700 just to get that, at least on a smaller scale, 32-inch. But if I had to split screen that shit back then, it would be like, hey, I can kind of see. It'd be terrible. So I mean, I get that people want it. Obviously, now you got big TVs for cheap, and people want that like novelty, I guess. But I mean, I just didn't get it to the degree that people are upset. Like, oh, guys did promise it half a decade ago, but okay, you guys couldn't figure it out. And then people were like really upset to like the rug was pulled out from under them. Like, I didn't really expect them to come back with that, but I don't even think I knew that they had promised that, because since I didn't do it before. But yeah, unfortunately, she shouldn't have promised stuff that she doesn't. At that early stage, though, they're probably in early planning. Who knows on what degree of level they were making it a giant open world. And obviously they've had, you've had those Reddit posts of the issues that, hey, how do we do 2-4-person co-op and still make it a Halo experience? That's what what's his face, the who's running the dev team now, escaping my name, or his name escapes me. But he was talking about like, hey, he came in and was saying the co-op, the way it was not the way, it's not the Halo feel. Like, you can't just make it like, hey, I don't know. It was kind of broken the way it was working, to give you that Halo feel of like, hey, it's still challenging, but I can't just, I'm respawning too soon or not early enough, or, you want to get that right balance with the co-op to make it actually an enjoyable experience. And I don't think any game that size has a 2 or like 4-person co-op, because I think everybody was saying, oh, Borderlands does it, but Borderlands is much smaller scale than Halo, so nothing on that. So I don't think a game exists that does this. So their ambitions were super high with Forge and co-op, and maybe they should have brought those way back down, and both of them would have been out the door by now, and they wouldn't had to delay anything. And I mean, I'm guessing that's probably what they should have done. Going from Halo 5, they I think they started to develop new Halo, and then they saw the backlash with that, and then they started to scrap and like, hey, we got to go back to the drawing board to see what our fans actually want. And they succeeded on like the gameplay aspect, but yeah, still kind of dropped the ball with content, and they've still struggled with that, with like they did with Halo 5 to get content out the door, to get big team battle out the door. That I think that was delayed on the Halo 5. So I mean, they've had those struggles. So hopefully, Joseph Staten going forward, hopefully at least they can keep him, because it seems like going forward, if he's in control, stuff's going to be done the right way, and he's not going to have to come in like fixed, because he was saying, because he's been there from basically almost its inception. He knows what Halo's supposed to be, and whatever it was when he came in was like a mess. So hopefully they pay him the good money, and hopefully what he puts out here going forward, when Forge hits, when co-op hits, it's great. And then hopefully split screen, it sucks, but I mean, at that point, at least we got co-op by that point. But yeah, I mean, totally criticize them for it whenever someone, makes promises, but I could see it from Bonnie Ross's, when people were giving her a lot of flack. I was like, she shouldn't have said it, but I was like, hey, it was 2017 when she said it. So a lot of shit changes since then. So
Shock, I'll get a little bit into it in my thing, but she promised a little more than just the next game would have it. She promised every FPS Halo game in the future would have it. She didn't just promise Infinite was going to have it. She promised that they learned a painful lesson, like, and that it should be coming back.
Was the game plan to make it this level scale of Halo in that moment?
So,
the only
based
thing.
on her
I
promise,
don't know if she
should they
knew.
have done this scale of Halo? That's an argument to be made.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think that's the issue of like promising, like maybe at some point this scale of Halo will get back, co-op split screen, and they'll be able to do it no problem
Well, is it the scale or
without issue.
is it the engine itself? Is it the split space engine
It could be.
itself?
I just because modern vintage gamer was the one that brought up the whole, level of like scale. He's like, has any game ever done anything like this? And that's when people
Far
were
Cry
kind
did.
of bringing up
That was the only game
Borderlands.
that people
So it's
thought
like,
I'd bring up.
oh, you're right. There isn't a game that exists from what anyone could name on, Twitter. I didn't see anybody else naming anything else that's done anything like this. So I think with that and what we've seen with Forge, how ambitious that is looking, I think they just kind of maybe they should have took small steps and just like, hey, let's just nail the next game and not like make a giant Halo map that's like the freaking size of a 5 Sky. I don't know. It's a giant ass fucking map from how high you
no
can
doubt.
go air-wise.
No doubt, Shock.
Like it's ridiculous.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like, people were waiting and waiting for, again, like Forge information and other information. And then people started, because of recent updates, people got access through glitching or whatever it may be to access Forge and different files. And, as people were playing around with it, there was all this cool stuff being revealed. And, it just kind of sucked because, like, 343 wasn't releasing anything themselves. They were very mum about it. And it's just like, oh, it'd be cool even if they had like a few official images. Oh yeah, you could use, we're gonna be, have these canvases and whatnot. Recently they spoke about it, but it took a long time for them to just relay that to the fan base. It was just kind of odd, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's what, because you had the people before Joseph Staten, like Chris Lee was promising certain things. I think maybe just when they had at that level of like whatever Halo was at that point. And then when Joseph Staten came in and he was like, hey, the way, because we heard how like broken and how the campaign just wasn't making too much sense from like a Halo perspective and the story, like a straight story, linear story somewhat, because you might want to give it that open world feel, but you still want to like, hey, what's the main like narrative? You don't want it to be completely like a Skyrim where you get completely lost. Yeah, there is a main story, but that one's not like driving a certain narrative. I've never finished an Elder Scrolls game because I'll spend thousands of hours doing everything else and I'll move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted that like, hey, we still want people to finish it and get the story because that's important to Halo. You can't just have people, spending all these hours and not moving on to certain things. So yeah. I mean, I think that's the point where he came in and some of the promises that Chris Lee made were not being kept when Joseph came in and was like, hey, this is going to need to get reworked. Hey, we're going to have to delay. We promised co-op. Chris Lee promised co-op. They were like, hey, okay, so co-op's going to be there day one, basically. I think someone asked him. But now Joseph came in. They were like, hey, we delayed this game a whole year. It needs to get out the door. That's probably what at some point, sometimes a game has to ship for the amount of money they put in it. Sure, Microsoft has billions of dollars, but at a certain point, Xbox needed a title. Like they weren't just going to live on Forza Horizon. Like they needed something
for it.
Halo campaign was great. They nailed the multiplayer as far as the way the game plays, the gameplay. The problem with 343 is, in my opinion, they are way too arrogant. They are way too silent to their fan base. They don't answer questions. They make promises and then they don't say, sorry, we've done this. They really should be held accountable for what's been going on. you guys know I've been very fair with 343. I've had arguments with Crusader when this started up, that we had to give them time, but they've had time. For them to come out and to give out that timeline and still have questions unanswered, like, listen, you promised, for me, you promised me ray tracing, and you can't even, the community manager who loves to answer questions and loves to answer anything that's simple will surely answer them, but you ask him a hard question, and or Joseph Staten or anybody from Bungie, and it's complete silence. And they have such a huge fan base of passionate fans. You talk about Uber Nick, you talk about all of their, diehards that make content for about Halo and love Halo. They're upset, and that should say something. And I do think that let's be honest. I know people want a firing and they want new leadership. I don't necessarily would think that's a good thing, because if you're pissed off about timelines now, if you fire somebody, your timelines are going to even go further out.
Yeah, I think Bonnie for the foreseeable future, as long as, like, I feel fine about that if Joseph is staying.
Right.
Because, like, okay, she's just going to manage, make sure payroll gets paid,
Right, I agree. But they need to talk to the fans. They need to answer questions. You know what? If they can't hit stuff, okay, why can't you hit it? What happened here? What the hell happened here? Why don't we have co-op? Why is everything backed up? What's going on with ray tracing? Are you still going to have? Do you still think that we're going to have another campaign? Like, I just think that their ego. I've met people in 343, and it seems like they act like they're above it all, and that's what gets me. And that's why I cannot defend them anymore. And
I mean, everybody's going through this for, like, Destiny did it, and there's so many of my friends that never going back to that game. Like, huge chunks of that community that were diehard 1 and 2, and they're just never coming back. And Bungie's definitely arrogant and said, "Hey, we don't have to. Oh, you guys don't need to come back, because we're not going to make it a pleasant experience for you to onboard to come back. So we'll just take our big pocket of fans that are diehard, and they'll come back and play the content. But for those of you that got pissed off with Destiny 2, and well, we don't need you." So
we'll say this about that. All right, can I respond to that, Tim?
I do think, but just let me give this final point.
All right.
With that, I do think, though, if they ever could get Forge out and they ever could get co-op out, people might change their tune. But again, it still doesn't discount how their attitude is. Right now, I think, as far as their communication with Xbox, and Xbox itself has always prided itself on communication. When it comes to 343, they're absolute shit, and they deserve right now, in my opinion, the criticism that they're getting.
Well, Xbox Game Studio. Well, sorry. Like, they should. Like, I think we should have some communication from maybe Matt Booty or Phil. Like, I think that they should get a little more involved here, because 343, I mean, Tim, I've been like you. I've cut them a lot of slack in the past. Halo 4 was their first game. I was like, okay, there was a couple of things.
And that wasn't even bad.
No. And
Halo 4's story is great. And then 4 was still a competent multiplayer.
No, and
but it just was following the trend, and they should have said we shouldn't have done that.
No, but I like some things that they did. Halo 5, okay, they couldn't get Forge on time. It was only like a month and a half, whatever, and a few other things. At least down the line, they had a plan. This time around, it's like, the way that they were going to launch the game when they revealed it, it was like, what the hell are you guys doing? I loved the art direction and everything that you were doing, but, like, can you imagine if that game came out in 2020? Holy crap, to launch? Like, this is Halo. Halo is the face of Xbox from the original to now. Master Chief's face is plastered on that console. You look at the Xbox Series X box, around the back of it, Power Your Dreams with Master Chief on that. It's a shame to see what the franchise has become. This is a staple for IP, for your console, for your brand. And to see 343 just kind of treat it the way it is, even Xbox, even Microsoft as a whole, I'm not a fan. I think that they should be doing very better with the quality for this IP. You look at the season roadmap. Like let's take season 2's roadmap. It changed a lot from when it first got announced. I mean, okay, they had a couple of good modes there that they put out, but even Last Spartan Standing, they removed it recently just because it's just like, I don't know, there was like not enough players apparently. The network co-op got pushed back. Mission Replay got pushed back, which again, Mission Replay, a staple of the series. The Forge Beta got pushed back. Sandbox items, as far as I know, there wasn't anything added. That got pushed back, and even more. They're missing these targets worse and worse and worse as time goes on. They have issues adjusting to these to this live service. And I don't know, just like season 3, the target date itself, I have a feeling that it's just gonna be missed. Like my faith in their live service for this and the content being pumped out to me is just very like lackluster, and the communication from the studio and Xbox itself has just been kind of underwhelming personally.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of the management shift, and then trying to catch up. They went probably way too ambitious on, because that's the other thing. They're trying to get something to work, and they're obviously struggling. It's not like they're super like, hey, well, they're super slow, at dev. I think they're just like, hey, we're trying to get this shit to work, and this Forge editor, which is supposed to be crazy, maybe they should have scaled that back and just made also a more linear Halo. They probably could have focused and made a 90 plus rated Halo that everybody loves, and it's more of the same, and not done this whole open world that has really cool aspects of it, but is going to take a way, you need to from the get-go, or someone like Joseph Staten needs to be there throughout the entire thing. And to have, if he had been there from the beginning doing all this, we probably would have got all this stuff day one without issue. But since he's having to try to like, hey, this is completely broken, we need to totally rework this. That's probably why co-op wasn't making it for release, or why Forge kept getting pushed back.
Forge is interesting because I actually did learn something over the weekend, and I looked it up and verified it myself. You guys remember a project from Xbox called Project Spark?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was supposed to be basically like Dreams.
Oh, are you talking? Didn't the dev team move over to the Halo Forge team?
The dev team from Project Spark is the Halo Forge team. So that's why like the Forge has a huge scope. Like Forge itself has a huge scope because like they moved the team from basically they merged the concept of Project Spark into Halo. But just for that scope, like that, I don't think the scope of that was ever going to close. Like whether or not this was going to be a standalone thing on its own or whatnot, but like that's part of the reason why that has such a big scope.
Yeah. That's
they combined their eggs into one basket.
Yeah, and I think they have definitely valid like criticisms, but I think that also hurts them is them being like first party, because they're going to get more vilified. Because when Call of Duty does shit like this, they've been vilified to a point, but people still, okay, I'm just gonna buy it no matter what, play it no matter what, even though it's the same rehash. And they'll get vilified to a point, and then people move on. Like, okay, cool. Oh, I'm playing Call of Duty this year. So, but with Halo, it's like it's just gonna be people are gonna shit on it just to shit on it because it's Xbox, and it's like, hey, you guys shitted on God of War, so we're gonna shit on this. Even though we're not even a fan of it or play it, I'm just going to shit on it to shit on it just because it's Xbox. So they're going to get that on top of valid criticism. But, when what happened with The Last of Us, like the best best dev and one of the best devs out there, period, Naughty Dog, when they were like, hey, we're moving this big scope, we're just going to cut it, and we're not going to even give you updates at all. You will never hear about this, and we're just going to cut it even though we promised it. And people were like, oh, and there was basically not very few people when you go back to Twitter when they announced that they're like, oh yeah, take your time, yeah, who cares? And there was some minority of like Broken Games HD and Jack Moves Johnny, who plays like factions, that were like, nah, this is messed up, they can't just like cut that. But a lot of people just like, who cares? So it's like, and they didn't give you any timetable. Still, to this day, I don't think they've given us really any update.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Bungie's trying to do that, and like trying to like, hey, we're working on this. I don't. Who knows what's going on the other? But see that sometimes they just get too much shit. So, but I don't know. It just seems like people are like upping this to a high octane, like cyberpunk like levels of being deception, like, hey, you guys totally fucked us over, or sorry, screwed us over on this and had us purchase this, and it's a completely absolute broken trash mess. But no, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually,
I thought Crusaders.
No, yeah, well, you know what? I want Centurion
Do Centurion first.
I want Centurion to chime in here. I know Crusader's gonna go on.
Do Centurion first. Let there be a calm before the storm.
All right. All right, Centurion.
I don't know, man. I walk around with a can of gas sometimes.
It's
fair.
true.
I still think it'll be a calm before the storm.
Oh no, he's not lying. I've seen the pictures. He carries gas around with him all the time.
I'll just add some benzene to the gas pile.
Well, for me, it's the gas of, look, when they released the roadmap, I knew the community was not going to be happy. And when I say the community, I mean the Halo community. I don't know what demographic Microsoft is going for, what they consider the actual community is for Halo. Are we talking the person that watches the television show and just plays the game here and there and is not, like, excuse the expression, emotionally invested into Halo? Or are they looking for the demographic of the person who, like, goes out and wears Master Chief pajamas, like, lives and breathes Halo, and there's that emotional investment? And honestly, there has to be a point in time where we just have to accept that they fucked up. Excuse the expression. 343 did mess up. Maybe they are a little conceited. Maybe the pandemic played a big role in what we don't really know. Like, we're not really there with them. It's not like Halo devs are really coming out and spilling all the beans to the world. Sometimes you bite off more than you chew, and more than you can chew. And there's the situation of, we're talking about an open world game. The fact they went down that avenue of an open world game has totally affected how this game was going to be put out to the masses. Co-op, so this is where, this is also some of the other things. If you guys want a game to come out with all the bells, whistles, and all this glitz and glamour, you can't sit there and, when they released, we all remember Craig during the E3 thing, and nobody was happy with what was revealed with Halo. I was perfectly fine with it. I've seen much worse. I've seen way worse. You know what the thing is? I was not emotionally invested in something that was a concept piece for an E3 stage. And there was in no way in my mind, like, yes, this is the finished product right here. Everybody lost their damn minds. We had screen captures, people taking cell phone photos and de-resing them on down to the social media accounts. It got stupid. So now we basically put them in a point where, well, we got to rebuild it. We got to put more time into it. There was delays that were actually the community's fault. I'm not trying to be sugarcoat it, but some of these delays were the community's fault from the community reaction. So some of this stuff could have been like, I just don't understand why we let some games have a pass and other games not have a pass. Some things are graded on a curve, some things are not. The big situation for me is obviously Halo Infinite is not for all the Halo fans. You're never going to make a product that appeals to 100% of the masses. Regretfully, it's turned out this way. So at this point, if it's not what you want, it is time to move on and just realize that Halo Infinite exists. They went down the road of open world. There's no way to reverse that. Co-op was split screen was a casualty of going down that road. We should be allowing developers to somehow experiment and have a little bit of fun with trying to create new concepts and maybe broaden the reach of a game and really try to hash out new mechanics and new ideas to push the game forward into a new generation. Because at the end of the day, let's just face it, the people that were playing the Halo 1s, the Halo 2s, and the Halo 3s were an aging demographic. The new demographic is actually getting their jollies off and their excitement from games like Fortnite, Battle Royale games. I mean, like, literally, I never thought Battle Royale would get as big as it is. There's a new demographic. We can't sit here and act like we're not aging out of gaming and that the new demographic is bigger than us. So maybe this game does appeal to the right demographic that Microsoft is aiming for. It just doesn't appeal to us. Wait for the next Halo game. I'm not trying to be mean in saying that, but they can't just go back and be like, well, we're going to make the game linear now to get split screen. The mechanics didn't work. It really stinks. It really sucks, but people should be allowed to fail without them being burned at the cross. You know what? And that's where I'm not going to sit here and say that it's okay. But sometimes the best time to learn is when you fail. And 343 is failing right now, and they know this. And they are trying to fix the problems that they have with the situation that was created because Halo Infinite is not going anywhere. And all we can do is hope for that they can smooth out the wrinkles and basically iron out all the details and make a functional game that appeals to a demographic of gamer that is willing to support it. And then they got to kind of take their ball, tail between their legs, and try again. And that's where, what can you do? Like, there's other options, give the game to a different studio. If Microsoft feels 343 can't do it, get some new leadership in there with some new ideas. But at the very least, I still stand by people should be allowed to experiment and try to do new things to bring in new blood and new concepts to something, because you're never going to know. And I think it's really interesting when we all try things. When we want to try something new or go out something for ourselves personally to make our lives better, we always get that phrase, what's the worst that's going to happen? You're just going to fail, and you just pick yourself up and try again. But for some reason in game development, if you fail, you're in the crosshairs of some very, very, some very hurtful things. It comes down to we've seen death threats and all sorts of stuff take place on developers that didn't fail to meet someone's ideals. Just accept the fact that maybe the game isn't for you. Not trying to be mean.
All right. No, that's a fair take. There are things people who generally like the way that the game's going. For a lot of people, again, the content roadmap is fine for them, whatever is there and so on. I like the campaign, I'll admit. There were some issues, blah blah blah, but overall, I thought it was a stark improvement over. It's probably my favorite Halo a campaign made by 343 to this date.
Now, the funny part is, like, talking about like what the statements Bonnie Ross made back in 2017. The Series X probably was nothing more than a drawing on an Olive Garden napkin, probably back in 2017 when those statements were made. Bonnie Ross probably never in her wildest dreams when she made those statements thought that I'm going to have to make a game that's cross-platform between the Xbox One original, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, cloud platforms. Like, it's just like now that statement has all changed because Microsoft wanted to make sure that there was like continuity, parity between the consoles, like no gamer left behind. That's probably something she didn't think about when she made those statements. That was probably something that 343 wasn't even thinking about, but it happened. Microsoft wanted no gamer left behind, and as a result, the game that they were already knee deep in designing, with an open world concept and having this and having that, it's not like all of a sudden Bonnie could walk in and just be like, all right, guys, throw it all in the trash. Just throw it in the trash. Microsoft wants no gamer behind. We got to make the game linear at this point. So for split screen, we need to throw everything in the trash. Just millions of dollars of work in the trash right now. We're starting over. That wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, regretfully, an avenue that Microsoft themselves wanted to take, and that's that concept of no gamer left behind, affected the development of Halo Infinite.
All right. I mean,
I disagree with that. I'll include that in my argument.
I mean, what I would say, I mean, Crusader, I'll let you pipe in a minute. What I would add on to that, it's just interesting, again, because we have seen like different people, like, again, they've been playing around with these systems, and we've seen, again, it looks like functioning to some degree on the Xbox One, the local co-op, and then even on the Series X. I mean, I remember seeing video today of somebody getting, again, 4-player co-op on there, which is interesting. I mean, I do like Microsoft's stance of, again, like the whole no player left behind, but at the same time, I mean, would you say, like, I mean, if the Series X is able to do it over the Xbox One, isn't it good for, I mean, if some people like would be able to take advantage of it within your hardware, is that better than having like just no co-op at all?
Bingo.
See, that's something to be said right there. You know, hell, make split screen for the Series S and Series X, but then, no offense, I'm not trying to be an asshole in saying this, but yeah, you're gonna have people up in arms will be like, well, what about me?
It's the compromise, because they saw with Halo, when they moved to Halo 5, they specifically talked about it. And I'm pretty sure with Halo 4, previous Halos that they looked at, they were saying that, hey, no one's really using this, pretty much. Most of our base is just playing at home and not playing split screen co-op when they use co-op. And that's why they felt comfortable taking out on Halo 5, because they wanted to preserve the visual fidelity in that game and not compromise it for co-op, which was their reasoning. So they're probably also looking at that as well, of like, hey, it's only for a small group of people. Let's at least make this co-op, when it does release, awesome for the experience we're going to give it. Because the co-op, hey, it's missing this, or it might not be. Maybe it worked when it was in that, mess of a design before Joseph came in and was like, hey, this isn't the way the co-op should really work. And so when he reworked it to make it better, that also may have caused issues with the split screen part of it. So,
but again,
he promised it twice himself.
And again, I'm loving the discussion here, guys. Again, there's some very passionate stuff. Even in the chat, guys, you guys are awesome. I love the different opinions and whatnot. You guys, again, you continue to rock, and everybody on the panel, seriously. Crusader, again, I'll let you chime in here because I know you're chomping at the bit.
Do the. We had some super chats. I saw them.
Oh
Why
yeah,
don't you do
you're
those
right.
first?
You're right. Actually,
Do those first so that
actually I
can
do
put-
have them pulled up, but it
Yeah,
just
so that way I can be angry.
I love the
afterwards.
energy. I do love the energy. Like right off the bat here, Victor Alistine, $5 super chat. Problem is, Staten is not the head. The studio head's vision is the vision the studio adopts. Staten needs to be studio head and bring his team. You know what? I agree with a lot of that. And from the looks of it, he is bringing in former, again, Bungie people that he worked with quite well. I saw a couple of weeks ago he did that. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Joe has in the pipeline, especially with campaign DLC. Or is it going to be something more? I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
oh, no,
that's
just
good
let me,
too.
yeah.
That he's bringing. Oh no, you're good. You're
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I agree with you, Shock. I totally agree with you. And just one more super chat here. RWK88 with the 199. Thank you very much, RWK. Imagine what they were going to release in 2020. My God. Now, guys, again, this isn't a 343 Bash Fest. Like, I try personally to stay away from that because, again, we've had, the whole pandemic the past couple of years, and every developer has been going through all kinds of crap, and I totally understand. I've given them a lot of slack personally, and I have enjoyed Halo Infinite. I mean, I love the multiplayer, and again, I can go on and on about the campaign for the most part, but there are some things that are lacking, and 343 just there are some things that we do have to touch on with this studio, and maybe in fact just Microsoft's handling of them and maybe just the franchise in general. That's my opinion though. But again, I try not to again go into them too much because every dev has been affected in one way or another the past year, or well over the past couple of years really. But lots of different takes on this. Let's see, any more super chats? No. Oh, Carlos here, 4G, 4 Guys with Course TV. Great to see you here, buddy. All right, I'll toss it over to you, Crusader. I know you're chomping in to get in
good?
here. Oh yes. Go
Anyone
right
else
ahead.
want to say anything before I go on like a 5-minute tirade?
I will just say from that one chat, I think also I agree with him. It's great that he's bringing in a lot of these other old
Yes.
Bungie vets. That's going to make it better because just giving it to id Software or some other dev that hasn't ever touched Halo and just getting whatever version of that would I think be a disaster, and people have more complaints.
Yep.
Just because this is a Halo. Well, we probably give it back to the Halo people and just get better direction. So,
All right. Anyone else got anything to say before I go on like a tirade for like 5 minutes? Like seriously, I don't want to. I
Nope.
want everyone to have all their ideas.
Take us
out
home.
here.
All right, I think Shock's
All
good.
right.
Tim's quiet, and I think Centurion's good. You got anything else to say, Centurion?
Yeah, you get it all out.
No, I'm good, man. Like I'll
All
be
right.
up front. I haven't been. Yeah, I'm good. I'm curious what he has to say.
I'm in a nice Zen moment right now, so I'm gonna put out some disclaimers before I let the Zen moment go. So, disclaimer, I'm very excited for Forge. Forge looks immaculate. I'm going to come back a few weeks after Forge comes out so that I can play some of the awesome custom games that our community will create, right? Very excited. I'm not giving up on Halo. I want that as a disclaimer before I go on this tirade that I'm not giving up on Halo. I will be back, right? My whole thing isn't about, oh god, Halo bad. No, god, Halo release unfinished, right? I'm happy with what Halo Infinite is. It just released unfinished with a lack of content for a live service game. We're going to get into that, right? And I don't want anyone to think on the panel that if I bring up something they said that I'm targeting them. I love you all, right? And I don't want to break the loud Crusader because once it starts, it's not going away. In fact, I'm going to be playing Destiny with my friend Dots tonight, and like loud Crusader's not even going to go away for him. So, and like I looked at this roadmap that they gave out, and I seriously went, what the fuck? Okay? Forge and co-op, regardless of the split screen. We'll get to split screen at the end of this tirade. Forge and co-op were supposed to launch in 2020. 2020. It is 2022. It is 2 years. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I gave them the 3-month delay because we were in a pretty bad point of COVID. All right, let's get the multiplayer out and have some fun, and let's get the campaign out, and we'll get the co-op in 3 months. We'll get it at the beginning of the 3-month season 2, right? Because seasons were supposed to be 3 months. And then they delay it again. And I was irritated, but I gave them a pass because Omicron had cropped up, right? And Omicron, the COVID variant, was bad. And it caused them to go to work from home for a couple weeks. And, you know, I gave them a pass. Okay, it has to be pushed to August because shit's fucked up again. But now, we get through the entirety of August and most of the summer without a peep from them? When they have released an unfinished product and have made promise after promise, and suddenly we have community managers going online talking to people like Turbo Nick or Nick Turbo, I can't think of his name, and saying like, oh, just wait till you see what we have in the pipeline. And the pipeline is 4 maps total for the year, and 2 of them are made in 4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And an already double the length season from what they had originally promised is going to be 3 months longer, with what appeared to be all Halo Reach cosmetics that legitimately feel like they were lifted out of the Season 1 Battle Pass, and you're just telling me, oh yeah, these are free. What? They look like they straight up, you just pulled them out of something else you were going to make us pay for. You pulled them out of the store because you were going to have us pay for them, and it's I'm sorry that we now have a 10-month season? And Forge and Co-op, things that should have been in at launch, are being delayed again? Are they ever actually going to come out? Because Bonnie Ross had promised us that they learned a painful lesson as a studio, and that they were going to work out a way to make sure that in her exact words, every future Halo FPS was going to have split-screen co-op because it was important, right? I mean, the last time we had it's in the 360 era, an era where, like, yeah, stuff was online, but not always. I don't believe any analytics that they can get from that era. Same with Sony saying crossplay probably wasn't a big thing on the PS3. Bullshit, not crossplay, I apologize. Backwards compatibility, right? Bullshit, any of that from any data analytics. I'm sorry. Many of those consoles probably weren't hooked up to the internet for you to actually figure it out. Because I can tell you, I just graduated college in 2019. We would drunkenly play Halo MCC co-op split screen all the time on the big screen. My roommate right now, one of my college roommates, he's still my roommate to this day. We rent the top half of this house. I guarantee it, when split screen co-op would have come out, we would have been down in my basement on the OLED playing it together. Just because there is a group of people that don't play the split screen. Again, typically, Centurion brought up a good point of, like, the different generations of gamers. The young generation, we still get together a whole lot, and we absolutely will use the split screen, okay? And some of us live together. Like my college roommate and I, we live together. We would use this feature, and it fucking works in the game. It's just a little buggy. And they're not saying that they couldn't get it to work. They're saying that they're moving resources away from it. The fuck you mean a $2.6 trillion company can't get their flagship IP? Master Chief is the face of Xbox besides Game Pass. Game Pass is probably now the face of Xbox. But Master Chief is the face of Xbox. There's no other franchise that is as associated with Xbox as Master Chief, except for maybe Gears, and specifically in Mexico, because they love the Mexican community of Xbox loves Gears. You should actually see the analytics. It is wild how much more they play Gears than anything else. But anyway, I digress. You're telling me that a $2.6 trillion company can't get more resources to get a small feature working in the game that's there and functional? And I don't want to hear anything about every gamer left behind. They came up with a system to deliver different versions of the games to the different consoles. We have smart delivery, where we have different technical versions of the games being delivered to different consoles, right? And PC's a beast. You could probably get it running on, like, most modern PCs, because, like, anything over a 2060 Super beats out the Series X. It's just how it is. So I don't want to hear anyone giving 343 any slack at this point. The only thing I will say is I don't want to hear a single person get personally attacking any 343 employees. I don't want to see a single person attacking individuals. I don't want to see a single set of death threats. I'll come after you. You'll find me under your bed. That shit's not okay. But what they are doing as a company with the most beloved franchise on Xbox is disgraceful. They have had several chances to get this right. Halo 4 was okay. It was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't the classic Halo experience. It wasn't a Halo Reach or a Halo 3 or a Halo 2 or a Halo CE. You know, Halo 5, it had okay multiplayer. Its story was abysmal. The AI that they tried to implement in it was abysmal. They tried and they failed. And they did learn from that. Never to quite do that AI again, right? But Halo Infinite, in a nutshell, should have been a success. The campaign was good. The multiplayer was good. It's just unfinished. And we know that they had their little fiefdoms where they had like 4 or 5 different versions of the game in development at the same time. It's not like they were knee-deep in developing 5 different games for the same game. They have, thank God Staten's there, because they have to have had some of the worst some of the worst management I've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
How does this happen to the flagship IP? If this happened, imagine if this happened to God of War or The Last of Us on PlayStation. We'd never be letting them hear the end of it, right? I mean, I'd be depressed because I like PlayStation a whole lot, but like, it's just unfathomable. And then, again, why should I believe a single thing that they put in any one of their anythings when the head of their studio is making promises that literally in the next entry they can't keep, right? Like, it's unfathomable. And I don't want to hear that anything is technologically impossible for Microsoft. It obviously works on the console, right? They just got to work some stuff out of it. You can play it. Now, it might not work on the Xbox One, but I'm of the opinion it never should have launched on the Xbox One to begin with.
Now, Crusader, if I can jump in here, I mean, are we being too hard on 343? Because, you know, I thought that Centurion made some really good points. Because, like, you know, we're like going back, like, you know, would we give the same criticism to Bungie back in the day? Because again, 343 is made up of a lot of Bungie devs, maybe not all, of course, and times have changed over the past few years. But what I would say is,
that's how I end my tirade.
Oh, okay, we'll go right ahead.
So the only time I've ever been madder at a company is when Bungie released Curse of Osiris in 2018. Okay?
Yeah. Yikes.
All right. It was the worst piece of video game content I've ever played, right? I'm a Destiny fanatic. And the whole reason I have this Twitter account, you can look, I created it in 2017, was to talk about Destiny online. Okay? I didn't create this to enter the Xbox community. That was a happy accident eventually, right? I was so livid with Curse of Osiris. We were all screaming online and all tearing them down. And there's a difference between a giant blockbuster game studio and company and Volition fucking up Saints Row, right? No one cares. Why? Because Saints Row doesn't have the same kind of community, right? Like it's not 1-to-1, right? And so I would absolutely, and I have, even since Curse of Osiris, gone after Bungie, right? Dots can attest to that, right? There are many. I hated the Destiny content vault and was livid about it for months, right? That they were taking content I paid for out of the game, and I bitched and moaned, and finally we've won, and expansions ain't being vaulted no more, and it's the greatest feeling in the world, right? And like, I will come back to Halo when Halo is good, if it ever gets good, right? Like, me being this mad is only mad because they're fucking up and they can do better. We know they can do better. Halo 5 was a better live service game, right? But one of the things that Bungie actually did that calmed a lot, not all of us, there's a lot of people that left and were never coming back to Destiny after Curse of Osiris. But they gave us monthly updates on the game. They gave us a huge, within weeks of us being pissed, they gave us a huge state of the game where they outlined every last little piece of things and approximately when they were going to do it, right? And outlined a bunch of stuff. And then the next month, they go, okay, maybe this feature and this feature we're moving back, but we're also, here's a couple new things that we're going to talk about we're putting in. And we would actually see the progression of stuff coming into the game. So far with Halo Infinite, basically everything that's been missing and all this, like, nothing has really been addressed, right? Like, stuff still is getting moved back. Nothing has really gotten better in the game. The prices are still pretty freaking abysmal in the store, right? We still don't have new content. Where's Infection, the most important mode to have with Forge? Because, like, most Forge modes, like, run off of Infection. Where is that? Like, what is going on with, like, the time, not just the timelines, but the kind of, like, thinking about when and where stuff needs to fall, right? If you're releasing Forge, how are you releasing Forge without Infection? How is that not on your timeline? And why is something like VIP, and I don't even remember what the other mode they're bringing back is, excited for those modes, but why are they taking going ahead of Infection, the most important mode to bring with Forge and custom games? Like, it boggles my mind, like, not so much that, because, like, this Halo game is for me. It's fun. I very much enjoy it. But there's no, it feels like there's no forward progress with the game after a year, right? Not even a little bit. It's just continual pushing back, right? And that's what it feels like. And this is a game that I would sit in and I'd grind for hours. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a multiplayer gamer, right? I sit in Destiny. I have like 2,400 hours in Destiny 2, right? And I will sit in a game that has high replayability, and I will play it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But there is no replayability in Halo right now. Why? Because there's been 2 new maps in, what? When did Halo come out? Like, 9 months ago? What is going on? And that ends my rant. I'm going back to a zen place now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think 343 can still do the job. I'm not saying get rid of the studio because
I agree.
Because
it's dumb.
Because again, you already have people in place there that want to work on it, that have came there specifically to work on that game, and there are people there that genuinely love it. And again, you already have, like, again, Joe Staten's there. There's a whole bunch of pieces that are there, but they got to do something about the management. Like, it's ridiculous. And honestly, like, isn't the contract work, like, pretty ridiculous too at Microsoft?
We don't know if that's still going on. Microsoft's contract thing is basically this: you can work as a contractor, you work for Microsoft for 1 year, and then you can't work there then you have to take, like, basically a year off. You're not allowed to work at Microsoft for a year, and then you can come back for a year, right? And this is a trend that we don't see at the studios that Microsoft has acquired, right? Like, we don't see that. Like, Bethesda does not have that rule, and the 2018 acquired studios don't have that rule. But I would bet you that part of the problem with some of the stuff, like, because I guarantee there's some contract workers working on, like, Perfect Dark and stuff. I guarantee that studio that was founded underneath what is it? The Initiative. That was founded straight up by Microsoft, probably has a lot of these problems too, because the way that they develop Windows does not translate well to games, because games have 5-year development cycles versus some feature updates for Windows that have a year-long development cycle. And so that is one of the big problems. Also, I did actually transmit pretty well back into my normal talk, my normal speech patterns. But, you know, there's big problems because of that kind of stuff with 343. And I'm not saying that they can't fix this. I'm just frustrated that it's been a full year, and like, essentially these features have been delayed 2 years, right? Like, Forge and co-op have essentially been delayed 2 years, you know, because the game was supposed to launch in 2020. So, like, they got delayed a full year too.
Now,
at that point.
I do have to add on that.
Go ahead.
Oh no, just to add on to what you're saying, I don't mean to interrupt, but
go ahead.
one thing that you look at, again, what Activision does with Call of Duty, right? And they have, like, a couple of different studios that help out with Call of Duty at the very least. I'm talking about full man studios.
Sure. Now, they're smaller than 343. 343 is 600 employees. They're about the size of two studios, right? And they also have Certain Affinity that acts as a support studio.
Yes.
And one of the big hopeful outlooks, and I cannot believe they haven't tried to show anything from it yet, because I genuinely don't understand why they are trying to keep so much secret about the game. Come clean and tell us everything, right? That's what Bungie did. They came clean and they showed us basically everything on the roadmap. They told us random roles were coming back. They told us that special weapons were coming back. They showed us Forsaken was like, look, we get it, we get it, we get it. This is what we're doing. And within 9 months, they fixed the game. Like Forsaken fixed Destiny 2, and ever since there's been some high and low points, but like never as low again, even close as Curse of Osiris, right? And so, like, why are they not showing us even even at a high level, some screenshots and just talking about Project Tatanka? I don't understand it, right? Because they had like, why have like we only seen screenshots of Forge? Why have they not come out? Yeah, Forge leaked. People are building Toy Story in it, right?
Oh yeah.
Why have they not come out and like done a deep dive through Forge? Like have like one person at the studio who I'm sure they can spare like a social media manager to go through and just show us some Forge stuff just off the cuff. Does not need to be rehearsed,
But
right?
all the biomes.
Just be like, show us the biomes in it. Show us some stuff. Show us some official stuff, right? Don't rely on the community leaks to show us stuff. Like Staten like retweeted one of the leaks and he was like, I can't wait for you all to see this. Well, I don't want to curse because I actually like him. You know, I would go MF. Why don't you just actually show us? But Staten's actually doing a good job, right? It's too. He's been there too short of a time to have made an exceptional difference. You can tell he's made somewhat of a difference, but like it's not going as forward as it should. But show us. Show us Forge, show us Tatanka, and for Christ's sake, really think about what you're releasing and in the order you're releasing it. Because, right, the modes feel like they're being haphazardly picked and thrown in. Where's Infection? Where's Race? Where's, you know, unless they really do plan for us to create this stuff from, like, you know what I mean? Like, to create this stuff out of nothing. Because some of these modes can be, but, like, it's just mind-boggling how they hyped up this reveal of the season. Like the community managers were straight up being like, oh, I can't wait for you to see this. And then we look at it and we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck is this? Like it makes no sense. It's like they have no grasp of what like anyone wants. Like
or how about
I don't know.
How
I don't
about
know
ranking? How about match XP, right? Like
Yeah, well, I mean, Matt, that was on the list, and I'm happy to see that. But like, who in their right mind went into the game and was like, yeah, we don't need match XP and ranking anymore? Like, it just boggles my mind that they experimented with stuff, but I can't imagine that whoever they went with their focus group testing had to have told them that, my brothers in Christ, this is a dumb idea. Like, how half of like some of like the stuff conceptually, like there's like nothing wrong with the campaign, except when they told us that we were going to get multiplayer rewards for the campaign and the fact that none of it was armor. Like, again, like, cool that you're giving us like those rewards back that we've been asking for, but like we want like an actual armor set to earn from the campaign, you know, like how you got Hayabusa and some of that stuff from Halo 3. Like, that's the feedback we've been giving. But like, they were like, okay, we hear you, and we're gonna have campaign rewards, but like literally none of it's armor. Like these are the things. It's like they're trying things and they're bringing back old like concepts and stuff. And like they brought back the equipment feature from like Halo 3 and kind of merged it in a glorious hodgepodge with the armor abilities from like all the other games to try and like make a middle ground between having these cool abilities and like them being like single use in multiplayer, so they're not as like oppressive to the sandbox, and it worked really well. But like, where are more of them? Like, it's been, you know, we've seen more of them. We know they're in the game. I've seen the leaks, but like, where are they? Why aren't there more? Halo 5 was a significantly better live service game. Look at how many freaking new weapons they added to that. Like, how many new armor sets that they added to that players could just earn for free. Granted, it was loot boxes, but you could earn all them for free. Like, I earned a crap ton of them just for grinding out games. And like, it's just so it's so frustrating. And it's not even like they've crawled to a halt compared to the rest of the industry, right? Like, other companies have had to push stuff back, but not like this. Like, not like this at all. And it just boggles every fiber of my being as to like, how are we in this situation with Microsoft's biggest current Xbox IP. Now, granted, Call of Duty will be bigger once they have it. But, like, how are we in this situation? How did we get here? Because it's not that the game's bad, it's incomplete.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions to ask, and right now there's a lot of that. Tim, are you there? Or are you busy doing something at the moment?
Yeah, I just listened to that. Yes, I was here.
I hope I didn't upset anyone.
No, I'm just frustrated. I do think that they would be better off just coming clean and just.
Mhm.
I don't know. I agree. They're just so shred the secrecy that it's just.
I'm not on the Fire 343 plan. I think that's the dumbest thing that they could do. But
No,
like,
but they
brick
definitely
and
have
mortar?
transparency. They
Yes.
they say, well, you look at 343, you look at Halo MCC, we had the same complaints, and look at how that turned out. And I think that that's why they have a saving grace here. The problem is not with the game; it's with the lack of content, and the only way they can fix that is produce content. Now, that's pretty obvious, but they've pissed off a lot of people because this has been way too long. When is co-op coming?
It's supposed to be here in November. Oh wait, am I still in chat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It went quiet.
November. All right, so November.
A full year from launch.
Yeah, that's
keep
bad.
keep in mind they do say again, like there's a little asterisk at the top that says
Everything's subject to change.
everything is subject to change, which again, judging by this past season, I mean, it might get pushed back. You never know, half the stuff.
What, two new maps in season 3?
I think one of them's a forged map because they're
Both.
showing off what forge is, and like it's like cool. Why aren't we getting like 7 forged maps? Like, why is forge not directly in the hands of? Because like one of the things they did in Halo 5, right? They put forge directly in the hands of some of the great forging people in the Halo community. And when forge dropped a year, like a month and a half late in Halo 5, the forge community had prepared like 8 big team battle maps, and they all just dropped, right? And it was great. Like there was plenty of new content, and they worked with the community to do it. And like you're celebrating 2 forged maps coming, great. Why aren't you doing literally what you did in Halo 5 and having the great community that has always made content from Halo since Halo 3 for the multiplayer? Why aren't we working with them?
I think that you're right. They'll probably be down the line. Now, when is Forge supposedly coming?
Same thing. November.
November. So is it Forge in beta or is it full on
Beta.
Forge?
It's Forge in beta, but they said it's beta like the multiplayer launched in beta, where everything's going to transfer over. It's going to be a seamless transition. It'll be fully workable, but like there may be some bugs and stuff, but they want it out. And that's what they said back in May, because Forge was originally supposed to launch in a beta in August.
Now, was there anybody that like? See, now I like when the whole announcement came out, everyone went nuts. Was there any? And I read everything. Why? Why is it so hard for them to come clean and just say why they've had so much issues, and what the holdup is? Like,
they've said it's been hard to get caught up, but they haven't said like why it's been hard.
Why can't they have that open communication? What's so? I mean, they're doing the absolute worst thing that they can do, and that's do what they're doing. Why can't they open up on the like somebody told you? I think it was you. They said Destiny was a problem until they, just freaking announced everything. Just sometimes I think that when you get to the point where you want to keep everything so secret, and I do think that 343 wants to do that, it hinders you. You know what? You might, at this point, just give the whole timeline. Who cares? Like, get people excited or get people looking into it where they can have faith in it. The problem we have right now is there's no faith. and there's no communication. It's like I said that in a tweet. It's like they don't talk, and that's the problem. That's the whole crux of the issue. Is that they're just leaving us hanging, and they've done that now 3 times. First it was this would be launched on day one. Then it was 3 months. Then it was
6 months.
we're taking a 6 month layoff, not a 3 months. These seasons are not going to be 6 months. And it's just been it's been pretty wild at this. And the crazy thing is that if they can get themselves footed and this Forge comes out and it's as good as it's supposed to be, they could probably get themselves going again. And that would be something if they could actually get them, get this, get people actually playing. But I just think they're doing a lot of damage at this point. And, you have fans like yourself, Crusader, as unhappy as you are. And I'm a huge fan too. And I'm disgruntled now. I mean, I want to know what the hell's going on with ray tracing. My main thing is co-op.
That's been pushed back. Like that, they're partnering with AMD for that. They said they're partnering originally when they announced that in like last June. I think that's been pushed back completely because like actual playable content is probably more important than making it look prettier. I want it too, though. You're right. You're not wrong. I want ray tracing in it too.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, people want the content. They want to be able to play. That's the main priority. That's fine. But again, what's the problem with just saying that, hey, we partnered with AMD. It's taking more than, we're trying to make the best possible retrace. Just whatever, just stay tuned. Like, even if they said stay, they don't have to give a date. I don't know. It's just they come off as better than thou and arrogant to me. And
it's an industry problem, Tim. Like, it's not even just 343, right? Like, there's very few companies that will actually communicate openly and actually share information, right? And then they all get mad at why stuff leaked. Why did the stuff leak? Well, fans want to hear about this stuff. Like, there's no reason to announce a game and then wait 4 years to have more anything else known about the game. Just like if you're going to announce the game, like when you start development, like most of these companies have been doing, you got to be showing us something every few months, like every 6 to months to a year.
They're better off not communicating.
They're
like,
either better off not telling us anything
ghost.
at all, or not telling us anything at all until you're ready to put the game out.
Yeah.
They should announce the split screen was canceled when co-op dropped. So this way people could it would be completely overshadowed.
I think Bonnie, to be honest, should address the fact that she did make some comments, and she should take ownership of it. And if she did that to me would be fine. I would be fine with that. But for her to completely ignore it, again, goes to the problem. They're acting like they didn't say this stuff, and they did. And fans remember. And, I mean, I've said the Halo community sometimes is too passionate over the top. Man, that might be true. But now, you really rustled the beast. I mean, this is
the Halo 4's multiplayer, right? But people don't like it. That's actually my favorite one, right? Like I'm not a Halo player who's mad that they put sprint in the game. I actually like sprint in the game. I've argued for it, right? Like I'm not one of those players who's refusing to adapt to change. I'm literally just pissed that this is a live service game without the service part. It's barely live. Like right now, have you seen the desync issues in the game where like we're on dedicated servers, but there's desync and there's rubber banding and it's awful and it's been like that since the game launched and it's only gotten worse? Hasn't been addressed. And it's not like I don't like this game. I loved it a lot at launch and I was so happy for it. And I was like, it should win Game of the Year. And now we're here and I'm like, how the fuck did this launch? Like.
I don't know. At this point, they have a lot of question marks. And, they had a great launch with the campaign, but they kind of, they hurt themselves here, just like Halo MCC when they had all their problems.
Yeah.
38 months to fix that. But then they fixed it, and it was great. And they have Halo MCC has the greatest matchmaking feature of all time. The fact that like you can pick exactly which modes and whatnot you want to load into, and
Yeah.
which games you want to load into. Like that's another really frustrating thing. They've implemented all these awesome features into MCC with the with like matchmaking and stuff like that, and then Halo Infinite has like 3 abilities to choose how you're matchmaking.
Yeah.
And like it's like the teams at 343 aren't even talking to each other because there's so many great quality of life stuff in MCC that Infinite just doesn't have, and there's no good reason it doesn't have it besides they just didn't put it in, right?
Yeah.
Like it could be incredible. It could be incredible from what they as a company have done, and it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But guys, I think we'll start winding this down. But anybody else have any other thoughts before we end off? Centurion, Shock, yes, no. All right.
I would just say play 2 games that I would recommend. Well, just one really. I said Power Wash already. The game Midnight Fight Express. If you like fighting games or you like Double Dragon or back in the day King of Fighters, it's not really like that, but it is fighting. Over the top game, style, like Bard's Tale, I guess, but fighting. It's really cool. I have to say, I'm very impressed with the game, and it's gotten like a 71 Metacritic, which it's not the best, but I have to say, give it a try, and I think you'll be surprised. That's for me. That's what I've been playing. I got the quick point before I go. I got the Samsung TV, the OLED with the Game Pass native app. When I tell you, it is really impressive. It works better than your cloud on the phone or anything. I am wired, so it is a dedicated Ethernet. But man, you could buy a kid that, and you could tell them pretend that you have a console, and they wouldn't know, man. They'd figure it out, but almost 1-to-1. I have to say the 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 speed and the latency is pretty much the best I've ever experienced on xCloud, and I think it's due to the optimization of the app. Also, that particular TV has a really good processor, and in addition to that, the app is native, built into the catalog of apps, and the app, the UI, the GUI, and the way it runs is really well run and looks good. So if you're in the market for TVs and you want an interesting one, or you don't have an Xbox and you want a TV that can have Xbox capability, look into the R95 Samsung, R95B. 10 of 10 I give. The TV is excellent. Xbox apps is fantastic. 1080p 60. But overall, the TV, the OLED, fantastic.
Is it a
TV.
QOLED or?
Yeah, it's a quantum display, I
Oh,
believe.
okay, cool.
So it's Sony's first shot, and they did it well. I mean, I do think that LG is a little bit better with picture quality, but they don't have the. I would never buy it just for the app. I bought it particularly for this spot because my wife said I can only have 3 Xboxes in the house. I can't have like 7, and this is a spot where I'm told I
Little
cannot.
does she know, the TV is an Xbox.
Yeah, no, she started to start it. She's like, no, we didn't. I said, nope. I said, no console. I said, she agreed, so she's allowing me. But that's why I got it. Plus, I was interested in the technology and just getting a different OLED. The only problem I had with LG's OLEDs is the burn-in. If you do leave it on and leave it on certain channels for long periods of time, you will get had it on 2 TVs now. So, but both user error. So both because of the pilot, not the TV. You know, you got to realize what you're dealing with an OLED. But with that, great show, guys. See you next week, and I guess we'll do the wrap up, right, Vader?
Yeah. Yeah, guys, I think that about covers things for this episode. But again, really fun chat tonight with like everybody on the panel. Like we went into great detail and length about like Xbox's regular battle in the UK, as well as like heated talk about 343's updated roadmap for Halo Infinite. Definitely a good talk. I like the different views that we have, you know, both on the panel and in the chat too. I saw a lot of good talk in the chat. Speaking of which, shout out to everyone that stopped by tonight and tuned in for the show. Really appreciate it, fellas. If you liked tonight's chat, then consider leaving a like, sharing out the show, and subbing to the channel, because, hey, we'd love to have you stick around for more. But yeah, on that note, let's move on to the outros. I'll start off with Centurion. Buddy, I thought you had really excellent takes tonight. Where can everybody follow you?
Well, guys, yeah, definitely a great conversation tonight. A lot of great opinions and different perspectives from all over the conversation. For those interested in finding me and my crazy antics, you can find me over on Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. You can also find me here every Sunday night I'm right here on the TXR Podcast. And you can also find me every Wednesday over on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood and the amazing group over there. And also every other Monday, I do Plastic Platforms with Stubbs Gaming, either on my channel or his channel. We flip-flop between the two of us, and those are the 3 shows that I do.
Nice. All awesome shows in their own right, for sure. Moving on down the list here, Tim Dog, buddy, again, great chat tonight. I thought, you know, really good talk. Where can all these fine people follow you at?
You can follow me on XCloud Tim Dog on Twitter. Arguing with these Sony fanboys. Try not to, but they're annoying. Yeah, I've been on there a little bit here and there. Also find me on Xbox itself, XCloud Tim Dog. I've been playing a lot of, like I said, Cloud. I've been on Xbox, but via the cloud. Have been great thing to have when you're not home or you can't do things, but we can't be in front of a TV. Yeah, great show tonight, and love the passion. I gotta say, you guys bring it every week. Appreciate it, and thank you, chat, for sticking around. Hopefully, you guys have a nice Labor Day. What is it? Memorial Day or Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Labor Day, and don't drink and drive.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Let's see. Moving on down here. Eric Shockley. Buddy, hey, good stuff as per usual. Where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, as always, you can follow me at Shock Neuro on Twitter, Easy Shock on Fox Live. But yeah, good show tonight. Good, stretched out those 2 topics to make a full show. There's some good arguments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks for stopping by.
Oh no, they were 2 very strong topics. That is for sure.
Yeah. Great topic. I'm just like, man, those that easily took up those 2 hours. So.
I had a feeling about that. But moving on down the list, Mr. Crusader, the heated, passionate fan. Again, good show tonight, pal. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, everyone can find me at Crusader3456 on Twitter and all the gaming platforms. Feel free to add me. You know, I do keep an open platform on purpose. I do want to say something positive, because I feel like I got real mad, and you know, so I gotta say something positive. The new beta feature on Xbox with the game library, and like being able to have the whole game library in one place like you can on the mobile app, but also filter it like you used to be, like you could on the current version, is top notch. So yeah, you know, find me anywhere, and I'm not usually this loud and angry, but like I love Halo, and they got me real mad.
All right. Well, hey man, I see where you're coming from. But yeah, guys, rounding out the group tonight, you can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. Also, check me out on the Bluebird app. That's Twitter at Invader_1986. Fun times tonight, that is for sure. And we're already looking forward to the next one next week. Have a good one, folks. Take it easy, stay safe, and have a good one.